So much love, so much heartfelt, warm, loving vibes to all of y'all out there. I am in a space tonight where I'm wanting to discuss something that has been heavily coming up around me. The people around me are feeling uncomfortable, out of control. And I've kind of observed some things in myself. You can't witness and recognize what happens in another without it residing within you. Everything starts with self. And so there's this whole collective experience. We're all in it together. You are not separate from me, and I am not separate from you. All that really exists is this energy between us, but because in some very deep, unconscious level, we have agreed that this is my physical form and that is your physical form. It's, ironically, another form of control. Anything that has a rule, anything that gives a label is simply a form of control. And it's all beginning in here. There is nothing that exists outside of us that didn't begin on a mental level, on a spiritual level, and it goes so much deeper than we could ever even imagine. It just seems like things happen sometimes. And on the one hand, we have control, and on the other hand, we have none. Control is one of those interesting, it's like this subtle veil, like you think you got it, but you don't. We all have power innately within us. It's the forcing of wills. It's the forcing of doing, whether it's us forcing ourselves to do something or forcing someone else to do something. And when I say force, it doesn't come naturally. It requires like a going against what aligns with you, what really you feel in your gut, what you feel in your physiology. If it doesn't align with you, that's a form of forced control. Force. Whereas the power that resides within us naturally will unfold. And how do you discern that? How do you recognize that? How do you know? Well, the first most important thing is, are you working on knowing who you are? Are you working to grow on a spiritual, on a mental, and emotional level? Are you willing to look deep within yourself at all those parts of you that you're afraid of, that you are embarrassed about? You don't want other people to see it, because if they see it, you'll be found out. Your hurts, your pains, your traumas are just as beautiful as your joys, your celebrations, your successes. All of it is the same. But again, the mind wants to control. What is that? Let's put a label on it. Let's put it in a box, because that will make me feel comfortable in my discomfort. So control is honestly all about fear. Underlying everything below that surface of, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, joy. And unless you're fully in the space of love, and you all have experienced it at some point in your life, where you're just so ecstatic, so deeply, like nothing can penetrate you. You feel unstoppable. You feel like a superhuman. Love. Everything's going great. You feel your cells tingling, your entire body just feels enlivened. You're glowing, you're radiating. People are seeing you and they're asking, what is that? I want some of that. When you're radiating the love that you feel within, and that takes work. It's not necessarily easy for many of us. It's taken me years to recognize I am worthy. I do have value. That it's okay to love myself and to create healthy boundaries. And it's okay to say no, because that's a yes for me. And that when I step into my personal power, I'm giving everyone else permission. I'm allowing people to see, if she can do it, I can do it. Because what you recognize and witness in another person, whether you admire or you despise, that also is part of who you are at some point. Doesn't mean in the moment, but it exists within all of us. You cannot separate the hate from the love. It just does, it just appears to be separate because the imbalance. When it's on the extreme, and if you've watched me before, I talk about swinging on this pendulum because it's the ebbs and flows in this dance of life. With ease and grace, we have to embrace it all. You can't expect to have a life of joy without sadness. And sometimes that sadness comes from joy, and sometimes that joy comes from sadness. But it's all interrelated, it's all connected. And without one, the other would never exist. But when you're in perfect harmony, baby, and you're in balance, and you're embracing all that is, neither one of them can exist. Because right here, right now, is all that matters. Is the only moment you'll ever live. Not the past and not the future. The control is thinking that the next moment is more important than this one right here. Eckhart Tolle. What are you in such a rush for? That this moment is so fleeting that once it's gone, you can't turn back and you can't fix it. You can't make it better after the fact. And so, yeah, control. It's a touchy subject. And many people don't want to admit they feel powerless. Because many of us are walking through life and we're in this space of, if I just act like I got it under control, then maybe I'll just get it under control. If I just shove away the things I don't want to deal with or confront, it'll work itself out. When something comes up to surface for healing, whether you like it or not, whether, you know, if, especially in my life, what has happened, the more I have placed myself in a denial mode, avoidance, the more powerful that painful trauma, that old past wound comes to surface right there in my face. And the more I resist it and the more it persists, the more I suffer. I ain't got control of that stuff. The best thing I have control of is my reaction to it or my response to it. And when I say that, that means taking a deep breath in and going, what do I need to know about this situation right here, right now? What is it telling me about myself? It's an opportunity for growth. Whenever we're triggered or charged, emotionally especially, that's our indicator. That's our sign that something is there, right there, sitting there going, you know, if you just come a little deeper into this, we can really release this for the last time. We don't have to keep coming back here. Pain is a choice. Pain is an option. But gee, isn't pain interesting? Because sometimes we've gotten so accustomed to it, it becomes an addiction. The addiction to pain, the addiction to trying to feel what we've numbed. You can't numb the pain without numbing the joy and that good feeling. All of the numbness that you create numbs it all. And so when we inflict pain upon ourselves in any way, shape, or form, I'm not talking like you have to be cutting yourself. Pain could be something that you got to learn the hard way. Oh, I gotta, the old paradigm, the nothing comes without hard work, right? Or you have to learn the hard way. Like nobody can tell you you're not willing, because that's an ego thing. Because see, here's the thing about pain. It's all ego related. Pain is, it can be that, like I said, the addiction. And I've been there because chronic pain, it's like a trusty friend. It's there. It's always there for you. Shows up when you're always expecting it. You can rely upon it being there because it's been there the whole time. But we don't need to pay. We don't have to feel pain. We don't need to suffer to achieve greatness. This is one of the problems we've been conditioned in our country, our societies, across cultures, that it's like Jesus on the cross, for those of you who were raised as Christians or Catholics or whatever faith, or if you have one or you don't. This whole idea that since Jesus died for us and suffered on the cross, that we ourselves have to put ourselves through that. And nobody said we had to do that. We've just bought into this idea that, look at me, I'm a martyr. Look at me and what I've gone through. Look at me, I'm a victim. That in itself is manipulative and controlling, just as much as a person trying to turn around and victimize. See, we have so many forms of bullying. We have so many forms of control. We don't address this stuff. And most people are unwilling to point out that they do it. And I'm one of the first people right here. I'm willing to admit, throughout the course of my life, yes, I've been manipulative. I've tried to keep things under wraps. I've controlled. I've been less than honorable to my soul and misaligned with my own personal integrity. But you know what? That's about me. And the people or situations I was in, if I'm humble enough, and I have been in my past, to apologize, to make right the best I know how, that's on me. That's my karma. That's my life. And when I bring this up, if you yourself relate to this, don't be hard on yourself. Again, when we know better, we can do better. And even if we do not do better in circumstances when we do know better, we're the only ones who have to live with that. We don't need other people to tell us. We don't need fingers pointed at us. Because when someone points a finger at you, remember, or you point a finger, you got 3 fingers pointing back. Ooh, ouch, that hurts. We can't assume or attack, because that's what that is. It's a himsa, right? Doing no harm. It's a form of harm. To judge someone, to outwardly shame them, blame them, accuse them. For those of us non-confrontational types with very strong egos and wills, when someone points something out and points a finger at us, if we're already in our heads going, gosh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Oh my gosh, I hope nobody says anything. I really can't handle someone else being that much harder on myself than I am. Truly, the only person who needs to live with it is you. Again, if someone's doing that to you, that's on them. And I know in my past, if someone were to point something out that I'm already knowing about myself, that I'm already hard on myself about, in the past, I had a different coping mechanism. I had different neuroses and personalities to handle and cope with that, right? I would turn around and I would get very defensive and passive-aggressive. Hello? Because you're feeling attacked like the animal backed into the corner. What are you going to do? You're going to come right out at it and attack it back. And again, these are all power trips. These are all forms of control. But this is where it's so important to master your mind so you can master your life. If we're willing to do the work on ourselves, there is no need to go outside. There is no need to control anybody else. There is no need to feel like you're being controlled. When we truly do the work, we can step into our personal power and allow ourselves to receive what we need. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have to do a little bit of, little leg work or any effort. This isn't airy-fairy. I'm just saying that everything comes easier, right? There's no dis-ease, discomfort, if you can settle in with acceptance and allowance of what is, as opposed to trying to force things to happen because you want them to, because they're not the way you want them. See, again, attachments, addictions, we have these preconceived perceptions and belief systems that we're so tightly clinging to, it controls us. And so where's the power in that? And so as I was sitting, I'd rarely sit, actually. This is one of those moments where I'm sitting. I was standing and reflecting upon how trying to control every aspect of our lives, forcing it, will become more of a failure than if you allow something that you want instant gratification for will be fleeting, and it will drop off. It won't last because it's instant gratification. Instant in, instant out. Some cases, maybe it'll linger for a little bit. But how satisfied will you be? Whereas when it comes in naturally, you allow it into your space, into your life. You embrace it. It's like, wow, I created this. Yeah, there's a little ego in there because you're going to be, wow, in awe of your manifesting ability, your ability to draw in all that you need. And it can be so much better than what you want, wish, and desire. The root of suffering is the attachment to having to have things show up as you want them. Here's my little picture, and I want it served up this way. And if it's not served up that way, that right there is your suffering. Because now you've been disappointed. That's humbling in itself too, right? That we have such strong belief systems and visions that we may not see that we get even better results when we allow things to happen without that attachment to how it should happen and when it should happen and what it should look like. When we really truly recognize that power is within us, we have true power, that we don't need to give it away. And here it is. You give away your power when you step out of that space of love. And what does that mean? There are two things, only two things, the polarities. Fear underlies everything other than the love space, right? So love is that space of joy, that infinite light that nourishes the life force, right? I mean, just the fact that we breathe, that we're alive, that in itself shows, number one, we're loved, and that we come from love. So why wouldn't we be love, an expression of love, each and every one of us? Whether you see it as your parents having you, want it or not, I'm not even going to go into those types of conversations because that's getting stuck on a story. Because you exist. You're a miracle. You're loved. You have the breath of life. That in itself, we share the same breath across the world. We breathe in the air our ancestors breathed, and even beyond. So those two factors of fear versus love motivate us to do, right? One is in an innate state of power. That's love. Love exists in the power system, right? It is the power, right? Kill them with kindness. I mean, come on, people. You don't have to kill anybody, but kindness is what matters. When you give away your personal power, any doubt of the love space, you step into fear. Think about that for a moment. Just being misaligned for the slightest little bit, when you doubt yourself, a situation, wherever you're at, if you are not fully embraced and engaged in that space of I am love, I have power, and I matter most, I am valuable, then just a little bit of doubt, you end up over here in fear and you have given away your power. If you're stuck in complaining about external stuff, you're giving away your power. You're wasting your energy. And and Yogi Bhajan would tell you that you're actually cleaning up someone else's karma if you're speaking poorly about them. I don't know about you, I don't need to be wasting my time on someone else in that respect. I need to work on my own stuff because you're building up your own karma by taking on someone else's and talking about them. Fear is underlying anger, deceit, manipulation. It is what drives people who want to be in control that feel powerless because they don't understand. They just need to step into love. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but why is it so difficult? If it's all we all truly desire, to be loved and to love, why is it so difficult? Why do we withhold it? Right? You need to work for my love. You need to earn my love. Which sometimes we'll say is you have to earn my respect. I'm sorry. You can still love someone and disrespect them or not respect them. But these are conversations for integrity, right? And getting even deeper into personal behaviors and such. But I really want to just talk about how we use our power and that we don't need to give away control, in the sense that we have control over ourselves and the choices we make. And when someone steps into your life and you feel they're trying to control you, how will you handle that? And there are so many forms of control. Some people, their definition of controlling, being controlled, is even the mere suggestion that they do something that might not be they're trying to control you, because these are old triggers, these are old wounds, traumas that are coming up for surface for healing, right? If I myself have always had people tell me all my life what I should do, and I have this charge, this trigger around it, when someone comes in and tries to tell me what to do, or even offer, well, you know what you should do? I might be triggered just by that should do, and everything else shuts off. But here's where emotional regulation comes into play. You need to step back and breathe into the space of reflective listening helps, right? So you can reflectively repeat, is this what you are suggesting, that you feel I should do this? Or are you saying that here's an option that you can choose to do this? Because that's where a lot of times I notice charges can come around and triggers come up for people who have felt so overly controlled in their lives that they resist any form of suggestion. I'm just using this as an example. You may or may not resonate with what I'm saying. What is it that makes you feel that someone else is going to try to control you? You always have a choice. But to get past that, I know that requires doing some seriously deep healing with the inner child within you for whatever experience you've had in your life that may have arisen that you were not given free will, and that you seek to be constantly in freedom, not controlled by anybody else. What is that? Because that's what comes up, is this need for freedom. And what does freedom mean to you? And this is such a deep conversation. Nobody can control you, but there's these fears that somebody will. There's fear that, what will they do to you? Will they put you in prison? Will they take away something that you value? Because I could name 1,000,001 things, but everybody has different values. Everybody has priorities that are different. What I feel may be important for me may not be important for someone else. And I have to take all of that into consideration. That I cannot assume that I know what you need, or that you know what I need. And so here's the crux of all of this, and what had been coming up for me, watching what Tom is going through out in Kauai, and poor William, because I don't know William's entire life history. I don't know his family. And I will not sit here. I will only be humbly observant, without assumption to even have a clue or to know any dynamics behind his family and what is going through their minds and in their lives. Because especially this past summer, when my mother was in the hospital prior to her dying, it's very difficult for outside family members to just assume they know the dynamics of a family. And having had Tom there during that time was an interesting dynamic. And I'm sharing this because it is what it is, and there's nothing bad about it. Tom was there to support me. And even for Tom, he had some charges and triggers that came up during that time, because I know his mother had just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so this brought up a lot of his family stuff, and I recognize that. And interestingly enough, here's the beauty of relationship. And ladies, we can control ourselves in such a way that we don't need to get upset with others when we see them hurting. Even when we're hurting, sometimes we have to be the stronger person. And I've had to do that much of my life. And I am humble enough to say, okay, I took on this role. Clearly, there's a reason why I came and stepped into this. I have the strength. And sometimes I don't want to be that person, but sometimes I know I have to. And so let's say that I hadn't seen my sisters, especially my sister Lita, for a while, a year or so, when she came out here right prior to the hurricane last 2016-17. And so my other sister came out too. I'd seen her earlier in the year. And my aunt and my older half brother and sister I hadn't seen in a long time. He had never met them, maybe on the phone, but never in person. And so for him to be the outsider, and it's hard because the thing is there's skepticism when family comes together for whatever reason. And I know my family's close. And I know blood is thicker than water, people. I think it's very important as an outsider that you not get personally, take things personal, to observe and be the witness, but remember that you are not there to hurt, control, force, or fix. That you can only hold the space. You can't assume you know what those people need, especially having just met them. And so when dynamics like that come up, it's very important, whoever you are, to be humble. And when I mean humble, I mean like just recognize your own stuff that comes up. Because when people come around other people's families, they start to consciously or unconsciously compare the dynamics with their own. And whatever we perceive is really just through the filters of our own personal experiences. To witness and recognize someone's family dynamics does not mean it's anything like yours. But it's really easy for the ego mind to say, ooh, I recognize that as that situation that happened with my family, and ooh, that's not good. But you don't know, and you really don't. And you can't assume, because you know what assuming gets you in trouble with ass out of you and me. Here's the thing. You have to allow people. Allowing, not trying to help, because that's the subtlest form of control, is thinking you know what other people need through your suggestion or you're trying to fix them. And that's not love. Love is accepting and allowing people to be where they're at in the moment. And especially during times of crisis and grieving and trauma, you have to recognize that it is not your place to fix, but it might be your place to sit there and just be, to be present with them, to hold space for them, and to know your presence is important, not always necessary, but even still to honor that you're being allowed to witness and be a part of that, whatever that is. During those times, family members clearly can be emotionally charged and say and do things that they would not otherwise do. It's very natural for a mother to protect her children, to want to protect her young. I am completely, my mom, don't even start. My mom, when we were children and we were abused by a pedophile, my mom would have killed the man. Because my mother had that nature about her to protect her children. And mostly because in her case, she had had it done to her. And we used to hear from her, I never want what happened to me as a child to happen to you girls. It's a great example, and I'm not faulting my mom whatsoever, but it was a great example of the power of the mind. And I recognized, even at a young age, how powerful my mother was at manifesting. The more attention you give something, whether you want it or you don't want it, you're giving it attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. The more you fear something, you are drawing that into your life. Even more potently, even more powerfully than anything you might want or like to have. Because you're so in this space of fear. The fear is what's driving you. You think you can control it, but it's controlling you. This is where the control of the fear versus the love is. The manifestation of your experiences come from where you place all of your attention. The majority of your attention, boom. Hello. You want some more of that? That's why it's so important to be in community with people who make you feel better and uplift you just by the presence. Sometimes maybe it's just going to a library or going to a bookstore or going to your favorite coffee shop with familiar faces, whatever it is. Get out in nature, walk your dog, right? Take a walk along the beach. But you have to remember, you're the one in control of this. And when you're not in control of this, it's in control of you. The mind was never meant to master you. You were always meant to master your mind. It's almost like the cosmic giggle. It's that part where you go, huh, is this a joke? When you get it, you're like, okay, that was a good one. Just like when you learn a lesson and it reappears, hey, remember this? And you're like, whoa, 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 we're not going back there again. I've already been through this. I can't handle that again. Again, you don't need to choose pain and suffering just because it's comfortable and familiar. And quite often that is the only reason we choose it, because the fear of the unknown is driving us away from it. So again, the love for self is sometimes simply having the courage and being vulnerable enough to completely immerse yourself in that loving space and allow with ease and grace. If you have questions, I am really open and entertaining to anything you have, because honestly, I really would love an open dialogue with this, because I'm finding that a lot of people are feeling powerless right now. They're feeling like choices are being made for them when it's not their choice that's being made. So we have a little love mug action going on, okay, people? This is Euphoria tea. It's so yummy. I think it's very important to recognize where it is you stand in your own life and where you feel settled and in your comfort of who you are. You don't have to know what your purpose in life is. You don't have to have the answers, but just being comfortable in your skin and breathing into this temple, this beautiful vessel that houses you and hosts you in this life. That everything we do is a prayer. Think about that. I was reminded in Beyond Addiction this past weekend that we use our body as a prayer offering, like with everything we do. And especially if you know this, that the hands and the arms are extensions of the heart space, right? So much of what we do comes from our hands and giving, right? And so with that, wouldn't you want to ensure that everything you do is given from your heart, is done with love? Even if it's something you don't want to do, ask yourself, why don't I want to do it? I think that something that we don't realize is that a lot of times people say, I don't want to do that. And sometimes it's not that they don't want to do it, it's just they don't want to be told to do something. Again, there's that freedom, that choice, that feeling someone's trying to control them. And in relationships, the Indian culture, the Indians, I remember, and I think this is beautiful, a happy wife is a happy life. And the man knows that the true way to gain prosperity in his life is that he provides for his wife. He dotes on her. He draws her rose baths. He treats her like gold. Like he brings her home the money. And that creates that happy foundation. as opposed to, oh, look at me, I'm the breadwinner, and, you know, like, build me up, and then she's like, and here I am slaving at the house. Like, I'm just throwing a scenario out there. There's so much animosity because of the roles that our civilization has created against, you know, here's a woman, she's supposed to stay at home, she's supposed to do all this stuff. And now, and a man's supposed to go do the work. But now times have changed. Now you're not only supposed to be the woman at the house, you're supposed to also go and get a job on top of all the stuff you do at home anyway. If you're a mom, if you're, you know, single, I'm just saying it's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure out there in the world. And I understand because I've been a single woman. I haven't had children. I know that. I mean, maybe I'd like a child or children. I don't know. For a period of my life, I thought that was my, you know, path because that's what I was told and conditioned and believed. But see, I also had a little bit of that little spark in me that said, but that can wait because I have certain things I have to accomplish before that can happen. Because you want to talk about control? I had the plan. Okay, I had to buy a house, had to get my degree, had to travel the world, I had to do this, I had to do that. Okay, now when that list got finished, I was like, I feel a little lost. Now what? But in relationship, we can come together. Doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in. It could be just a friendship. You can find a way to support one another through your strengths, not your weaknesses, not expecting someone to do something that they're not so strong in doing. If you're the stronger one in something, then you do that. And vice versa. It's important to communicate. You need to communicate what it is you need, what your boundaries are. Recognize and know your self-worth. Right? It's not about, oh, look what I did. You need to do something to, you know, balance and even that out. Relationship is about coming together with the divine dance of, look what I'm going to provide you because that is my love offering. If you request something of me and it's not going to take away from something else that is part of our relation, then I will lovingly do it because I love you so much, and for you to request it, I honor that. Because see, I noticed sometimes in conversations I've had with other women, oh, my partner won't, when I ask him to do this, he won't do that. Why is that? Why do men resist doing things that will make their partner happy, or vice versa? Why do women resist it? Because it's not just a, you know, man versus woman, or woman and man, whatever. Why do people do that? When someone makes a request of you, why is it such a sweat off your back? Is it because you feel that someone's trying to control you? When you could just do that loving act that probably would take 2 seconds and bring you more joy just in the fact that you've brought someone joy. See, that's true love. Selfless love that doesn't require the ego to pop in and say, this is about me now. I don't want to do that because I don't want to do that. That hurts relationships more than anything, causes the most animosity. And you know, I can tell you from my own personal experience, when I ask somebody to do something and it's already difficult for me to ask, I will stop asking and I will do it myself. Now, is that healthy for me? No, it's not. Is it healthy for the relationship? No, and it causes animosity, frustration, finger pointing, anger, resentment. Again, we don't need that. That's not loving. And so communication is key. And, you know, when you can bring it up to your partner and say, you know, it would really help me if I ask you to do something, if you would be willing to make the effort to help. Because if I ask you, it's because it would help me. And it helps you because I do things without even question. If I do something without question, why is it so difficult that somebody else should reject or resist? And nobody wants to feel rejection or in that case at all, right? It's a powerful place to be vulnerable and courageous. Yeah. Yes, Kelly, so much healing needs to be done. And it's a powerful place for all of us who need help to allow and ask for it. And you know, as I go back to the situation with Tom and William, I know Tom's heart is in the right place. I've never questioned that. I do know he has some things that come up, and I understand he has this desire to help, to serve, because he wants others to be pain-free. He would gladly take on their pain and suffering if it meant that it would help someone else, within reason. The thing is, though, something I observed, often, and this is what came up for me when I've been communicating, and he's asked for my assistance and guidance on this, right? Yeah, it is, Kelly. It is a codependency. So he asked me for my consolation, my guidance, and one thing that came up for me that I recognized, and it's because we've been together long enough and I've seen it, when we think we know what someone else is going through, because what it does is it brings up something within us that is unhealed. We're triggered and charged. He's trying to be controlled and manipulated by his family is what I see, right? But I also, for me, not just Tom, I'm speaking on two perspectives here. From my perspective, the first video that y'all visually got to see, I saw, wow, ooh, there's some family dynamics you want to be careful about there, because you don't know the whole history. You don't know the situation and his entire life history. Take care of and support with his brain injuries and his healings, right? And so with his mother, I see, number one, her fear of her child being taken advantage of because he clearly has some challenges. That he has had brain trauma, that he has gone through extensive rehabilitation physically. I don't know beyond that. That she loves him. There's no question. What may sound like a manipulation, I'm going to withhold from you, has probably been an old pattern. There's probably so much more that we could learn from it. Yeah, we can all say and do things differently. But as I was speaking earlier, that for an outsider to interject or even to speak in a place where she wanted to hear her son, I also see that as, who is this person I know nothing of, and now all of a sudden he's like in the forefront. So I can see where the threat in her mind is. Understandably, that if money is a concern, I don't think it's about just the money. I think it's really just about, we sometimes use money as this kind of like focus, let's say. But sometimes focus on money is also another form of love. Not for the money, but it's the yielding of that so-called love sword. It's still acting in fear, right? But for the love of her son, and she doesn't know any other tactic clearly, there's something in there. There's something in there, and there's healing that can still happen. And I did mention to Tom, you know, this clearly can bring up something from your own past that you have to sit with and not necessarily interject or speak on his behalf, but allow him. Because this is William's opportunity to not only step into his personal power, whether that's a choice he really truly wants to make right now or to wait. It doesn't matter. He can wait. It doesn't have to happen in this moment. I understand his mother's not expecting him to do this like that. So what is the harm in waiting? I see no harm. There is no rush for anything. And like I said to Tom, if he's meant to come back to Kauai, he will. And just trust and know in that. And that there's just a process that he needs to go through, whatever that is. And so again, when we are emotionally charged, there is an opportunity for us to be in this experience. And I told Tom, look, you're healing, he's healing, you're helping each other. Here he is giving you this opportunity to witness something that is clearly in your own self. And so this feeling that he wants to protect William because he's felt oppressed and controlled in some case of his life is a natural uprising. And that's an opportunity to sit with and go, oh my gosh, what is this situation telling me about myself? I want to serve this person in the best way for them and not make it about me, because I love Tom dearly and he knows this. I have his back because I've held him in so much. And I don't regret any of it, even when he's been a punk ass, as I call it. I know he has a good heart, and I hold him because he is doing the work and he is trying, and he's so humble, even when he has certain, I'll call them outbursts with me. When he has, I've just been like, okay, in the beginning I had to kind of go, well, I don't know what I'm dealing with. But you know what? Everybody's got their traumas. Everybody's got their pain. And there's a lot y'all don't see out there. You know, this is our social media. I'm sharing some personal stuff here because I think it's very important. And that it's not about the money in the end. It really is about humans healing. And this sense that he's witnessing a control situation in William's life, and we don't know the circumstances around it. We don't know if it goes deeper than just the traumas from his brain injury and the car accident. There may be a history that we don't know. People are taking advantage of him in the past. Totally, whew. You know, especially if his family has witnessed this. And you have to remember, number one, people are going to look at the situation. They're going to kind of categorize, because that's what we do. There's stereotypes around. Number one, a couple things I know y'all heard. Texas. He's from Texas. There's a lot of money. There's oil. And I'm just saying that once. That's the last time I'm bringing it up. Just put those all together, and that would put fear in people's minds immediately. Because if you have any history and knowledge of all that, you know you were treading lightly. And you got to be really aware that this is about William and healing with his family, and not about you. You don't want to piss them off. It's not about you, and it's not about them. You just want to be the friend and work on your own healing. And I didn't have, and like Kelly, you're saying you got very angry, and I understand. Two people broken can heal aspects of one another together or through the witnessing, observing of another. But the thing is we're always at different levels, right? It's like saying two healers can help heal even more of the other. Think about that. Just because people have broken parts doesn't mean they can't be fixed. And I dislike saying anyone's broken, because you are not broken. It's just that you haven't accepted all your pieces as whole, right? That's huge in itself. Recognize you are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. All you need to do is embrace yourself as whole, because you are. That's love. And so going back to these videos and all this dialogue that came up, and I know my family, especially with my grandfather and my mother, and there's a lot of political influence. There's a history of police officers, judges. I'm related to a president, that kind of deal. But you got to remember something. It's not about the ego, power stuff. Oh yeah, heavy energy today and then some. We got Venus going direct and Mercury going retrograde now. Which is why I felt like this was an important dialogue and conversation to be had. So much. We can turn around and say, oh, I know so-and-so. Oh, I'm going to bring out this one. I'm going to show up at your door. And I remember this from when I was younger. I had a girl, I say girl, when I was in high school, who was dating my high school sweetheart, and my high school sweetheart let her just call me and be all nasty to me. And I was one of those spitfires. It was like, yeah, go ahead and send them. She was on the phone. I kid you not. And they were in New Jersey. I was in Maine. I'm going to send a bunch of niggers up to your house and have you killed and beat up and all. She was saying all this stuff. Now, first off, you got to recognize and discern a true threat, like your life's at stake, versus just talk. And the thing is most people do not want to follow through with the quote-unquote threat. They just want you to do what they want you to do. It's a manipulation because they don't want to be in that space. But ultimately, in the case of William's parents, they just are looking out for him. And again, we don't know his history. We don't know the stories. And even for what Tom knows, I even advised Tom, I said, most important thing, if he has to go home, that's what he needs to do. And you can just be his friend, but enjoy the time you have with him. And just have fun and play. Because in the end, that's why he came to Kauai. If he wanted to buy a house and all that, I don't even know how this became such an issue with his family, other than something with the financial advisor who clearly is involved with the family. And when I saw that video, I was still confused about Tom. How come your name even came up? Like, how did your name enter the conversation is the part I don't understand. Like, doesn't make sense to me. Because when you take things on and make them personal, whether it's about the way his mother was talking to Tom and he was saying, ma'am, you're not being very kind with me and these aren't facts and all that. This is one of those situations where I did say to him, you know, you did the best you could with what you had. I'm not going to tell you you did anything wrong whatsoever. I know what I would have done, but that's because I'm where I'm at, right? Whew. As a mother, I just want to have a dialogue with my son, and I don't need this. I don't need what's going on over here, because that's a distraction, and I feel it's an invasion in the family. That's where I say it's very important about separating yourself from family dynamics that get like that. In the case of my mom and that situation this past summer, I felt I did really well at handling myself with my family and Tom, because he truly is, he wants to be the voice of what he feels oppressed, and he wants to help people he feels are hurting, and I totally get that. And let me tell you, that was my method of operation for many, many years, and I will never say there's anything wrong with that. But what I've learned from my personal experience, we're not here to fix others, and that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I shared with him about healers. You'd be surprised how many silent healers are out there. They're not talking about, look what I'm doing, look who I'm healing, look what I'm, how I serve. Because there's no ego involved. We just do what we do. We're not asking for money. We're not asking for accolades and and wow, thank you so much. It's just part of being. And we're all healers. We're all healers, people. There's nobody who isn't. And we all serve one another in recognizing ourselves. Most important thing, see the other as you. Why? Because we're all one. And I'm not talking the airy-fairy, oh, let's get together and sing la-di-da. No, truly, your pain is my pain and my joy is your joy. But you have to choose what it is that lights you up and live in that. Or you can choose what drags you down and drudge in that. And I don't think anybody really wants that. So why choose that? Why get stuck in that? It's okay to, visit depression or stress, anxiety once in a while, but don't be living there. That's not our place. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to be here and live right here, right now, in this moment. Not be rushing for the future or stuck in the past. Our lives are meant to be vibrant, playful, joyful. I love being silly. I think sometimes I'm more silly than Tom, but that's just my opinion. Just saying. No. He makes me laugh. Yeah. I do really, truly miss him. I know him and William are playing right now. I'm really excited. I truly pray and I hope that whatever it is that William and his family need for healing, whatever that is, and that they recognize that there are good people out there, whether it's Tom or anybody else. And it's understandable when you come from a certain environment, if that's how you're conditioned to think and to believe that people are this way. If you've been taken advantage of, people, I know I'm not the only one. If you've had an experience, someone took advantage of you, ripped you off, deceived you, if you've had that happen enough in your life, don't you usually kind of proceed to think the next is the next is the next is the next, and that's how it perpetuates that experience being lived over and over again. Again, if you live in that state of fear because of a past experience, that's how that works, it's how it operates. Oh, I don't want that to happen again. Oop, there it is, right? Whoa, there it is. Fear is up here. Whoa, whoa. You don't want that. Oh, Buddy's my little protector. I heard a growl in there. He's so cute. But it's important to also have compassion. And here's another thing that I was having this conversation. There goes Buddy with his growls. With Darling the other day. And justice. Again, now we're going to go into judgment. Because what do you think control's all about? Control's all about you're not doing it the right way, and I'm judging you saying that, and I think you should do it this way, and you should because I say so, and that's how I would do it. There's a whole trigger around judgment, people, but we're always doing it. There ain't a person out there that ain't judging at some point in their time, in their lives, because here's the thing. If you're not comparing something, which is a judgment, comparing myself to someone else, whether you're saying, oh, that person's a jerk. Oh, well, you're not. That's what you're doing. You're saying, I'm a nice person. They're not being nice, or they're not like me, or they're not like this person. You're comparing. When you come up with an observation, when you recognize something, you witness something, you had to compare something to it. To even discern. That's another form of judgment. It's just discerning is recognizing without leaving the imprint of good, bad, ugly, whatever. Judgment, I'm talking, hey, stamp on that one. That was bad. Shaming, blaming, and all that, right? When you can discern, does it align or doesn't it align? Do I flow right? Do I flow left? how am I feeling to be guided? You know, you're discerning and recognizing your emotions, your feelings, and how do I handle this? How do I work through this? You don't need to judge that. Judging is, like I said, just like with sitting in depression. If you're stuck in the depression, you're sitting there judging it and comparing it and going, oh, this is bad. You're shaming yourself. That's how we judge ourselves and create deeper depression, how we create more stress and anxiety. And again, the underlying theme of that, fear is controlling you. Fear that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worth it, that I'm not valuable, that I'm not important. And that's a big thing around the money charge too, right? Many of us in our lives have had money dangled like the carrot to the donkey. And most of the time it's because the person dangling the money carrot, they themselves don't have a high self-esteem, and they equate themselves to money as value. And so their form of feeling valuable is how much they can or cannot contribute, right? Whew, here's one. And I get this with my dad, and I love my dad dearly. If someone feels they are worthless, they will take the money and use it as kind of like they're just the money, it's me, right? I'm giving you money, and like, see me because of the money. That's an inner child that is deeply, deeply ashamed of themselves, has a very low self-esteem. If you have a healthy relationship with money, you can wield it. You don't talk poorly about it, because that in itself is creating a karma for you against the money, and the money is actually going to grow for someone else. Because there's that, if you have a trigger around money and you're rejecting it, but you need it and you want it, your push-pull dynamic, it's unhealthy just as much as having too much and being a glutton. All of us need to find a healthy balance with our self-esteem and love, and yes, money, or whatever it is that is an exchange that you need to yield to receive and to give. Because it's just what we utilize in exchange for our time. Hence why many people equate their value to money, because of my time is valuable. Most often, if you try to give a lot of things away for free, you know, like you just totally give it away, and then it becomes this, and there's an attachment. Okay, so here's the I have to preface this with, if you're giving something away with absolutely no attachment, with this joyous, loving heart, like this guy, I forgot how you pronounce his name, this happy unicorn guy over in Palestine. If you're giving things away generously and you want absolutely nothing in return, you have no expectation, I mean even at the deepest subconscious, unconscious level, I guarantee you're going to thrive and flourish and receive even more back. But if you even have the slightest expectation, I need a smile, I need a thank you, I need a recognition, I don't need the money back, but somebody's got to like come back to me with something. It's down there. That is a form of fear again, because it's still seeking validation, some form of reciprocation, some form of I want this for that. It's an addiction. It's a belief system and attachment. I need to have something in return because I gave. Nobody said you didn't get anything in return. It's just not what you expected. And that is the root of our suffering. So whether it's money or not, whatever it is you give away, always do it for the right reasons. Always. And check yourself. I mean, I have to check myself too. Like, will this bring someone else more joy than it will be bringing me? Is my time going to be appreciated? If I give my time, if I am present with somebody, are they truly going to honor and value it? Or, like most people, and this is very true, Yogi Bhajan says this, you have to put it out there that there needs to be some exchange, energetically, a form of give-receive. And the reason he says that is because most people do not value without giving something to receive. And that's a true statement. How many of you out there have received free things and just they became like tossed off to the side? Because you're like, because you didn't value it. You didn't have to pay for it. You didn't have to give anything for it, right? And you could do volunteer work and get a t-shirt, and you might value that t-shirt more because you gave your service versus somebody who constantly listens and talks with you when you need them, and then when they turn around and start asking you for donations, or now I'm doing this as a professional service, I need to charge you, as much as that may sound funny, that person, and I'm actually bringing this up for a reason, because I myself for many years have sat and listened to people, and I do it out of service every day, all day. But there also comes a time when you have to value your time, your energy, and recognize that there are many people who may not value you as much. And funny enough, those are usually the people that don't want to pay because they've been getting it for free for so long. But there are plenty of people out there, and you can't take it personal, by the way, because you had set the bar, so you have some responsibility in that as well, which is fine. It's all part of the learning process, but they've served you because you served them. It's all, again, the lessons and the blessings, the blessings and the lessons, that when we truly value and honor ourselves, we're not going to deny someone who is reaching forward and saying, I'd like to offer you this because I truly value your service. Love donation, however it is you receive that form of appreciation, growing, right? If you truly value someone or something, you are willing to give something for their time, their energy, their service to you. And so I was saying to Tom the other day, I say, you often say how healers need to go out into certain areas. I said, everybody's a healer. And you would be surprised that there are healers places that you don't even recognize because they're not talking about it. They're just doing their work because it's part of their selfless service. They're just being healers. And they're not proclaiming it to the world and saying, hey, look at me and what I'm doing. And that's ego. But see, that's all part of the Jedi training. That's what I said to him. I said, hey, young Kimosabi, young Jedi. He's adorable. He's growing so quickly in his awareness. And I felt very humbled and very honored that he even reached out asking for my guidance. And I truly appreciate that. And I respect that, because I can tell you, if you saw him a year ago, he's come a long way. And ladies, if you have a man in your life that you feel isn't growing, the question I want to ask you, are you holding them in a heart space, lovingly allowing them to grow, seeing them and truly believing in them? Because any one of you out there that's struggling in a relationship, I want to show you something. What Tom's doing out in Kauai, he put himself there because he wants to grow, he wants to heal. And I feel in my heart that he is healing. And I hold him in that space, that if you want a man in your life, the one that's in your life now, or you don't want that man in your life, whatever that is for you is going to be true for you. If you love them and you truly sit with that wholehearted I hold them sacred. Because guess what? There's a lot of healing for men that needs to happen right now for us to be honored as women. And we as women need to nurture our men just as much as we need to be nurtured and nurture one another. Women need to be coming together more in community and supporting one another and recognizing that we're all going through something right now. There's been a whole trembling. There's been an uprising of this femininity within us that says, I've had enough. Now is my time. I need time for me. And I've gone through this with Tom already as well, where I had to stand up and go, no. And it wasn't necessarily easily taken, but here's the beauty. He saw that I held a boundary and he honored it. Didn't say he had to like it. Nobody has to like anything. But that's what communication is about, is you have to open dialogue. You have to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations like I told him. But the one thing I think is most important is when you look at your partner, you have to know that you can look at them and say that I love you more than anything else. And I love you more than being right. And that whatever it is that comes up, we can work through this, because that's what love does. Love is kind, it is gentle, it can be sparkles and rainbows, but love is also stern, fierce, creative. Love can move mountains and part seas. And with that said, I think it's time to say goodnight. I have an acorn squash or two in the oven. I'm very much looking forward to eating. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or you feel, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I don't even think I need to say it. I love you all. Everything's going to be okay. Just remember that. That no matter how chaotic and uncomfortable things get, you just need to ride it out, ride that wave, just like emotions, right? The waves ebb and flow, and our emotions come and go. Ride the waves, honor everything, and give yourself the time and the space to sit with whatever comes up and confront it and ask your inner child, what is it I need to know about the situation, about myself right here, right now? Breathe into it. If you're just silent long enough, still enough, and focused enough, you may just get an answer and a huge release of something that you've been carrying around for so long. And you can let that stuff go, homie. Step into your personal power. It's not about control, it's not about force. This is about you being you, aligning with your personal integrity, and really truly letting that inner child out to play. This is about love, and your life depends on it. Master your breath, master your mind, and you'll master your life, because all you gotta do is feel it so you can heal it. Have an amazing night. I love you all.